morning, everybody. It's Randy with Carchaeology, and this adventure is a big one. I am in the truck. I am on my way to Orange County, California. I've got my trailer back behind me, but I'm not going to pick something up in Orange County. I'm actually going to outpost my truck at my mom's house, and I am going to catch a ride to Orange County Airport and hop on a plane. My destination is Chicago, Illinois, and what I am going to be picking up and bringing back to the lab is definitely history on wheels.
Now, it's not very often that I end up traveling across the country to chase an interesting vehicle. In this case, I'm actually chasing two. Now, Chicago is a town that has some history with my family. Both my parents and grandparents came out of Chicago. We've gone back there for family reunions and stuff, so it was kind of cool to be back in the Windy City. I got there the night before, got local to where the vehicles were going to be picked up, had my morning coffee, and started texting back and forth with my buddy Robert. Now, Robert is on his way out from California with his truck and trailer and is going to meet me here to pick up these treasures. Now, the treasures all came from a place called Kiddieland Park, a amusement park in Melrose Park, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And I met with a collector that had several artifacts from this park, including the target for the day, this 1959-1960 Volkswagen Kiddieland fire truck. Now, these trucks were designed for hauling kids around the neighborhood and bring them to the park. And Michael, that has the vehicles here, he has preserved them for a period of time, have brought both of them into the same collection, and have been holding on to them for quite a while. Now, these are real low mileage vehicles. One of them has 14,000 miles on it, still on the original tires, etc., etc. But it's time to get these vehicles out of hiding and bring them back out into the world where their story can be shared with others. So I've got my buddy Robert Skinner involved here. He is helping push right here. Robert is perhaps one of the world's greatest VW bus chasers. He's a friend of mine. We've done a little bit of work together. He was super helpful with my son Ian and I's trip from Northern California down in the Beetle that we were trying to rescue at one point. In any case, when this opportunity came up to acquire these two vehicles, he was absolutely the first person that I called, because I knew he would be crazy enough to drop everything, get in his truck and trailer, and drive to Chicago to get them. So that's exactly what we did. So he drove out along with his wife Marlo, met me there in Chicago. We got these babies lashed down and put up on the trailer. And we've got a destination in mind. Obviously, bringing him back to California is the goal, but there's an event this upcoming weekend that is a vintage VW bus meet, all for the split-screen style buses, like you see right here. The OCTO Fest, it's called, Orange County Transporter Owners Association annual October meet. So we got the first one lined up here on the trailer. There was a bit of a question as to whether we were going to get both of them onto this trailer. Robert had measured. We figured there was a good chance that it was going to happen, and bringing that one all the way forward, I think will do the trick.
It's raining! It never rains at my place. I'm loving this. I don't know why I'm carrying an umbrella. I should probably just soak it all up. But we have one truck loaded, and it's time to pick up the next one. Woo-hoo. Hey!
So as Robert pulled the big rig over to a neighboring property that's owned by the same owner, the second truck was awaiting our pickup. A little bit of logistics to get these things out of there. These are vehicles that are not currently running and driving, but they have a at least been kept out of the weather and very well stored.
Number 2.
She's purty. Didn't have enough room in your other garage for them together, huh?
Well, I did. Well,
So as we push number 2 out of the garage, number 2 is the one that's probably been used more than, or the most out of both of them. This truck has 24,000 miles on it and was used for many years after its use as a kid shuttle. They used it in local parades and things
You want
like
to try
that.
that parking brake to see if it stops it? Just in case.
So brakes on both of them are not functioning.
It works like a champ.
Yeah.
Marlo, want to get in?
But fortunately, it seems like we've got parking brakes as well as having some skilled hands at moving this stuff around.
Yeah, it's got to be brake.
start rolling, start pulling. You know,
It'll be all right.
No, it's okay. She's got her. She's got the brake, and it's not rolling too fast.
Well, Michael, the owner, was very concerned about this one getting away from us.
She hasn't wrecked a single car today, at least that I'm aware of.
That's right. Just line them front wheels up.
But we had no
Go to
issues.
the right. Go to the right. Go to the right.
To the right.
Go to the right.
Swing wide.
Way to the right. Keep going to the right. Keep going to the right. Keep going to the right.
You could always pull forward with the truck too.
All right, now turn left. Okay, go forward. Keep going. All right, right. I think that's lined up.
All right.
Woo, shit. Wow.
And perfect. So now running the winch underneath the truck up front and off to truck number 2 in the back there. Hopefully we can get this thing up there on the deck and have wheels safely within strapping distance. So again, this is going to be a fairly tight fit here, but measuring it out, I think it's going to work. There's a fair bit of overhang on the back of these trucks, so as long as those rear wheels there make it up onto the deck, we should be very good. Now this is really a vision that that throughout our whole trip back absolutely blew us away. Seeing both of these trucks together on the same trailer was one giant rolling parade. These are really unique, very special trucks, obviously, and they attracted a lot of attention all the way across to California. So let's see, as we get this thing up there, they're fairly long. You got to watch that tail to make sure it doesn't drag. You've got to watch the nose, that extended lip front bumper. You got to make sure that doesn't hit the ramps, and also making sure it doesn't bottom out in the center somewhere. But fortunately, long ramps and proper angles and that sort of thing. Robert is no stranger to hauling VW buses around the world, so I knew we were in the very best hands possible. Now it's starting to rain here a little bit, fairly light rain. We're getting a little bit wet, but no problem. Doesn't look like there's a huge storm ahead of us, but we might have some weather across the country. Now, these are obviously being run open trailers, so we are concerned about weather. We want to make sure that no damage occurs to these things. Fortunately, the closed cab helps. And the rear benches in the back of them are stainless steel, so it's just the wood floor underneath them that we might have some concerns over.
Stop. You gotta go back now. That bounces.
Yeah.
Back just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. I think you're good.
Done.
Perfect. So once these babies were lashed down and ready to roll, everything is looking good for getting our trip out of there. Making sure that everything is tied down properly so that these things don't shift around. They are fairly close to each other
Yep.
on the trailer there. But once properly lashed down and nice and tight, we ended up posing for some photos. So here's Michael, the previous owner, and myself in the trucks. Here's my happy face there having new toys on the deck. Robert, Michael, and I posing in front of it. And then we went into his house here to have a quick look around at some of his other collection. An amazing collection of vintage bicycles here. These are all 50s, 60s area kind of space liner bikes. There's some Schwinn's down here on the end as well. He also has some other rides from the Kiddieland park, including this little driving antique car. There was a bunch of those that drove around a certain track. These little tractors were also a kiddie ride from the park as well. And we tried these babies on for size, and I've got to say, well, maybe we're just a little too big to be on them. But it was fun to post for some photos, to hear a few stories of Kiddieland Park, and then get on the road. But before leaving Chicago, we had to have a Chicago dog. Stopped at Portillo's for some proper sausaging before getting on the road, and then started our adventure. Now again, we're dealing with a little bit of rain as we're rolling through the start of our trip, hoping that we don't have too much of that. But we bedded down for the first night, woke up the next morning, some more coffee, everything looking pretty good out there in the hotel parking lot. But we still have a long, long way to go. Let's see, Holiday Inn was our lodging of choice as we rolled across this beautiful country. We saw some fall color out there on the road, lots of roadside attractions and things like that. Now, we really didn't do any sightseeing other than just cruising around. We had a destination in mind and a very short schedule to make it happen. We're 2,000 miles away from our destination, and we loaded everything up on Tuesday afternoon and really got rolling on Wednesday morning. Truck stops, always a joy, lots of treasure and stuff there. It was fun to see the rig lined up with the big rigs out there, attracting attention no matter where you went. Fuel across the country, certainly used quite a bit of that. And, but
There she goes.
there you go. Watch the numbers climb every time we pumped. The rig is, not getting the best mileage, I guess, towing these two beauties back behind it. But there's no way around it. It wasn't like we were going to drive them across the country themselves. So here's kind of a neat little view from up on the rear deck. You can see the stainless steel benches here that were used for holding the kids. One giant seat belt on each seat to hold them in place. Nice to see reflections in the tanker next to us. And as we were traveling across the country, we really didn't want to bring too much attention to ourselves online, but we did hint a little bit with small photos of our travels, and a couple of them that showed the vehicles, or at least little hints of the vehicles in there. So we really wanted our arrival in California at the OCTO meet to be a surprise, and especially a surprise that there are not just one of these trucks, but two on the deck. Rolling through St. Louis, the St. Louis Arch is obviously a focal point. Always neat to see that. The gateway there, as they call it. Our weather turned quite beautiful once we got out of Illinois and started rolling along. We had blue skies for pretty much the whole darn trip, which was really, really a blessing. Had a great time, tried to capture as much as we possibly could. Wheels rolling the whole time. But in any case. Now, when it comes to the trucks, I'm going to do another video that really tells the story of the trucks, who made them, where they were used. I found some historic footage of them actually being used, and that's something that I'm going to be posting up in a follow-up video. This one, I just wanted to document our travels across the country, all the roadside attraction and weirdness that we saw, including these rusty VW buses. So we pulled off the side of the road to check these beauties out. This is at a place called Half Crocked Antiques. This was in Bourbon, Missouri, I believe was the town. Really neat bunch of old junk, including this Shorty 15-window bus. So this started out as a walkthrough deluxe. This is probably a 62 or 63 model. It was amazing in that it still had a lot of its original deluxe trim on the bumpers. It had the jail bars on the inside. It was a walk-through front seat model, which is really desirable. Looks like it was probably turquoise green originally. Next to it was a nice early bay Westphalia camper that had some great patina to it. Now, Robert tried really hard to buy this little Shorty 15 window. Not that we could have done anything with it other than maybe jam it in the bed of the truck, but it was not for sale. But if you're in Bourbon, Missouri, definitely stop by this half-crocked antiques. We stretched our legs and wandered through and looked at the offerings, and it's really one of the coolest antique shops that I've been into in many, many years. I did pick up this fire engine sign. It's a reproduction, but kind of a cool little thing, and it seemed a fitting souvenir for our travel across the country with the fire trucks in tow. RC Cola, always my favorite. My initials, of course, so I collect some RC stuff. But in any case, here's a quick little walkthrough of some of the treasures there. Prices seemed fairly decent, at least by California standards. Nothing was free, but there were some really amazing things among the shelves there. There's some neat old gas pumps. This cool Chevy parked out front as well. Half-cracked antiques. Be there. Look for the little Shorty bus. So here's my prize of the day, the fire engine tin sign, and then we're back on the road. Saw that guy with a Triumph on his deck there. There were some other vintage cars that we saw along the way. That's always entertaining when you're out on the highway towing something old, is to see somebody else doing the same. Rolla, Missouri. Let's see, where are we here? Smoker's Outlet. Get your stogies. Uranus Fudge Factory. Now there's a roadside attraction. Lots of that weirdness when you're going down the highway, anything to attract travelers into these small towns. It's always fun to see. The truck stops, everywhere we went, it was a blast, attracted attention at every possible stop. All sorts of interesting characters out on the road, and beautiful travels the whole time. We put some pretty major miles in, really tried to make tracks. We didn't do a whole lot of sightseeing along the way. This is all about reaching the destination, doing it safely, not pushing ourselves too much, but we really couldn't drag tail and make it in time. This is a fun spot that you see along Route 40. This is a McDonald's restaurant that bridges the freeway. That's a cool spot. I remember going in there at one point when I was a kid, and it's neat to see that still standing. We followed along Route 40 on the way back primarily. Now that basically runs alongside Route 66, the Mother Road as they call it. Many of the stops that we made had Route 66 signage and trinkets and things like that. That wild neon casino was quite the sight in the middle of the night. We did stop at one point and came across this tree with the most amazing noise coming out of it. I don't know what kind of birds these are here. Maybe somebody here will know. But they're all over the place. And while my camera doesn't catch it here, I was looking up with my camera, and when I pulled it away, there was actually a bird turd right on the camera
South
case.
Memorial Drive.
One of these little bastards bombed me while we were up here taking a look. Let's see, 1,200 miles to go, 17 hours, quick stop at Cracker Barrel, and another night in a hotel somewhere. Way too much coffee, fractured sleep. At this point, the trip is really becoming a blur, but we've got to make it here to the Orange County Transporter Owners California event in Long Beach. So bright and early morning this morning, got back on the road. Time to refuel and a walk around of our prize here on the trailer. I mean, these are really spectacular trucks. Now, the wheelbase has been extended on these. The bodies have been professionally modified by a fire truck manufacturer back in 1960. These things are all original, unrestored, and pretty fun.
Go for it. Good morning.
We had some great laughs along the road. Certainly got along well. When we were sitting in Cracker Barrel that one night, oh my God, they probably should have kicked us out of there. We were laughing so incredibly hard. Fun to see our shadow as we're rolling down the highway. Two of these trucks on the back of the trailer set a very interesting silhouette along the grasslands of the middle of our country. Definitely a sight to see for anybody that saw us roll by. Let's see, Texas, rolling into Texas, state by state. Everything started to work its way under our wheels. We made some stops for fuel and wherever we possibly could. Big, wide, open spaces. Some country music going on the truck. Set the cruise control and just aimed on west. Watching the traffic roll by, seeing the smiles on people's faces, lots of folks bringing out their cameras as they went by to snap pictures of the trucks. And our view, looking in the mirrors and back behind us, was that happy little Kiddieland fire truck face. That was really a pleasure on the whole way across. New Mexico, rolling into New Mexico now. We just hit the top part of Texas, so we actually passed through that fairly swiftly. If you're going the southern route and crossing the full width of Texas, that seems like it is never ending. So New Mexico, we stopped there at the state line to stretch our legs, use the restroom. Again, parts of historic Route 66. We pulled in for fuel at this fantastic little vintage station, very Route 66-like, just a couple pumps out front. It was cool to see the stuff that they had in there. This is definitely a station that's been around for a very long time, and it was kind of neat to pull in there with a historic vehicle. They had a guard cat and a guard dog in the shop that were quite pleasant. Both got proper pets. Here we are rolling through the desert landscape. It's fun to see our country change as you come west through the grasslands and into these neat parts of Arizona, that sort of thing. One last stop for the night in Kingman, Arizona. This is a very Route 66 centric town. Lots of eye candy wherever you go there. We use the opportunity to get some photos of the buses there. Actually had a bus guy come out and meet up with us to see the trucks. Cool little Santa Monica thing there at the hotel with a VW bus on it. But anyway, neat little photo opportunity here. This is on our final night and now our final stretch into California. But before we head out of Kingman, we wanted to stop and grab batteries for the trucks so we could at least make the sirens and lights go at the event. We pulled up at a really cool vintage VW shop that's there in Kingman. I had a great walk around to see the treasures that are within this place. And Rod's VW Parts is the name of the shop. If you're ever going through there, you got to check it out. It's a half antique shop, half VW shop, everything displayed and organized really well. The owner of the shop, Rod, is a crack up. He has great, long history in working with air-cooled VWs. Used to work for Joe Vitone at MP back in the day at Econo Motors. And has spent his life working with air-cooled VWs. And of course, he had what we needed, including the elusive 6-volt battery that was in truck number 1. Truck number 2 had been converted to 12 volt. And I had a great surprise. This Carmagia right here, I actually pulled out of a field in the high desert of California for a friend of mine that moved to Arizona recently, and he's almost got that car done. It was wild when I saw it. I went, wait a second, I know this car. Anyway, everybody got a kick out of the fire trucks. It was definitely cool. This little pup was a cutie. We stopped for some coffee for our final trip and then made dusty trails for SoCal. VW Bus on the top of a junkyard sign there just before the California border. If anybody has seen that, I'm sure you've tried to buy it like everyone has, and no luck at all. But finally, arrival in Long Beach. Now this is the night before the event. We rolled into the showgrounds. This is held at the Veterans Stadium in Long Beach, California.
Hey, long time no see.
And the trucks rolled in and the surprise started. It was at this point that we started posting stuff on social media to show that there were two of these trucks, and the joy of bringing these two vehicles that none of these guys out here in the California bus scene have seen was truly fantastic. And immediately the crowd started to form around them, and throughout the whole day at the show on Saturday, they were without a doubt the stars of the show. All these guys came out to check them out. We had, let's see, lights going. Lots of laughter. These guys are hardcore bus nuts, and to show them these things was great.
I know. I've been told a couple times I look like Rick.
I love that when I rock smokes, I knew it wasn't him.
There's an old picture that Chip took of Rich Warren at the office. It tagged me in it. Like a long ass
Got it closer, I knew it was you.
headlight.
All right, you have headlights.
We are such kids.
Way louder.
Never grow up.
No. No light bulb? No light. Try your spotlights. The switches are on the spotlights. On the roof. Yeah, that's like crazy loud. Too nuts. Mine's all wimpy in comparison.
The 6-volt versus the 12-volt on that rooftop siren were definitely an amazing difference. On truck number
There you
1,
go.
it's a very soft sound. Number 2, boy, it hurt the ears to have that thing fired up. In any case, once we were able to roll the trucks in place, get them off of the trailer and on the ground, it was interesting. It was starting to piss a little rain, just like it was when we picked them up in Chicago, but it was cool to get them on their wheels and lined up and ready for the show. Posed for a couple of photos with them, got them put in place. Robert went off to the hotel to sack out, and I spent some time cleaning the bugs off of him, getting him prepped for the show, getting him shined up as much as possible so that when the crowd comes first thing in the morning, they can really take in the beauty of these trucks. Great photo opportunity here to see the two together. Obviously, we had a little bit of rain coming in early in the morning, but the show is a fantastic one. It was still very well attended. Lots of people came out, lots of buses, and a great reception to see these beauties. Love this dude with his little dog and his little bus. You can't get much cuter than that. He's at all the SoCal events, and it's always a treat to see. Nice variety of buses there, good swap meet, lots of neat parts. The OCTO event is a favorite. They do 3 events here in Southern California a year. They do a spring meet, a summer meet, and the fall meet, which we attended here as well. Wide variety of split-screen buses, parts for everything, and the Kiddieland fire trucks stole the show. This firefighter that happened to be there, he loved it. He was checking it out. This little pup had to hop in the front seat to give it a drive. So we tried to get the dog to pose for a photo behind the wheel, and he complied for at least a little while. Anyway, far too cute and far too fun all the way across. Now, at this point, I've got to admit, I'm really road weary, just lack of sleep, lack of everything, but I tried my best to capture the VW bus meet and to tell the story endlessly of the Kiddieland fire trucks. Big crowd around them all day long, people trying them on for size. We didn't do any rides. Of course, these trucks have not been started, but now they are going to go off to have that done. So number 1 is coming home with me. Number 2 is going to go home with Robert, and then we're going to get them back together for a photo shoot and a reunion sometime very soon. In any case, that was our Route 66 Chicago to LA trip, rescuing the Kiddieland Fire Department single cab trucks. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.